Well, looky here. We're back.
What's old is new again.
Welcome to the new and improved, maybe two
We'll
minute
see. Maybe.
2 minute drill. I'm Jim Monaghan along with Chris Swendeman. And the big story this week, well, I have the Met hat on. Swendeman has the Yankee hat on. Juan Soto going to the New York Mets. And boy, have some Yankee fans like Nick Totoro completely lost their minds.
He's our new spokesperson. I
He
love
was
him.
he was
He's a national treasure that needs to be saved and preserved for all eternity.
He was ranting and raving. You're leaving the Bronx for Queens? Like he made it sound like the Bronx is the garden spot of the city.
Yeah, he made it sound like such a like, heavenly place that you can't ever leave.
And I lived in the Bronx for close to 8 years in a variety of neighborhoods, and there are some wonderful neighborhoods in the Bronx. Yankee Stadium really isn't one of them.
No. I mean, listen, Yankee Stadium has its aura. I mean, I think more so when it was the old stadium than now. But I mean, come on, Nick. Somebody's going to throw money at you. You're going to take it. Any one of us would do the same thing. And I got to be honest, as a Yankee fan, I'm glad the Mets got him. I did not want that albatross of a contract 15, 16 years from now hanging over the Yankees' head when he's only a DH and you're paying him a boatload of money.
Had he gone to the Red Sox, what would you have said?
I would not be as happy. I would
Really?
not be. No, because then you have to face him a lot more. When he's in Queens, let him do what he wants. I don't
Yep.
care. Him
But
and Uncle Steve have a love affair. I
he's on
don't
the
want to
back
see
page
it.
every day, though.
You know what? People are it's the ebb and flow of New York media. He's the darling right now. Now he's the big catch. Fine. Mets, you have your World Series right here. The last time I checked, they don't crown the World Series champ in December.
They usually don't. That's correct. Although the
Right.
Mets have won the month of December, at least for the time being.
They have. So congratulations, Uncle Steve. Job well done. Tip of the cap. Now let's move on. Now the Yankees can go sign maybe two, three, four players that could help them because clearly having two big names doesn't get it done. We've seen it. We've
We
seen how
did.
this show goes.
You had him for an entire year,
Right.
batting with the MVP right next to him. He
Right.
put up MVP numbers himself, and it didn't work. From
No.
a baseball standpoint, I think this contract is a mess. I really do. But the Mets needed to do something more than just from a baseball standpoint. Steve Cohen said he would not be outbid, and he stuck to his guns, and he out Steinbrennered Hal's dad, if you will.
He did. I mean, he did it. He said it and he executed it. Good for you, Steve. I mean, you took the back pages of New York and you're going to be there for a while. Everybody's going to be talking. But you know what? Spending almost 800 million on one guy, look at their pitching staff. One of the guys that is on their pitching staff right now was the Yankees reliever that they had them remove from the closer spot. And oh, by the way, they plan to make him a starter. I'm sure this is going to go great for you guys. He couldn't get through one inning. You want him to go through five?
Well, he was a little overused at the end. I mean, let's be honest.
Fine, he was overused, but they want to use him as they want to convert him to a starter. I mean, you think that's going to go much better?
Well, both teams definitely have some holes to fill. The Yankees had defensive problems in the outfield and in the infield for that matter.
Right.
They really were shown in full display during Game 5 of the World Series. You and I were talking earlier
Yep.
today how Mookie Betts on his podcast a couple of weeks ago, one of the bench players from the Dodgers said that in the dugout during Game 5, the Dodgers players were telling each other, just put the ball in play, just put the ball in play, because they could see how tight the Yankees were.
They completely clowned the Yankees and with every reason. They had every reason and they have the championship trophy to prove it. I mean, they have a lot of holes. But wouldn't it be really funny, Jim, if the Yankees turned around and signed Pete Alonso for their open first base now that Rizzo just signed with Pittsburgh Pirates earlier today, as a matter of fact. Um, I think it would be hysterical. if the Yankees turned around and grabbed Alonso for their open first base job, now that would make for some back page stories.
Do you think, because a lot of Met fans are really up in arms about what might happen with Alonso, do the Mets need Alonso or do Mets fans just want him because
They
he's the polar bear? He's our guy.
He's their guy. He's homegrown and they want him. They don't need him. The Yankees need him. They need a first baseman. There are other ones out there that I think maybe I'd rather have, maybe a Bellinger, but to grab some of the spotlight back and to kind of like a counterattack, I think it would be a great move to grab Alonso.
Well, Soto with this huge contract, and yes, it's about the money. It's absolutely about the money. You
Thousand
know,
percent.
he came here in a trade. It's not like he wanted to be a
Right.
Yankee. He's not Gary Cole. I wanted to be a Yankee all my life. No,
He
he got
didn't
here in
come
a
with a
trade.
sign
Right.
that said, today, tomorrow, yesterday, future, pat, whatever the sign, but he came in a trade. He had 1 year to make it work. And he, you know, did everything he could to maximize his market value. And he executed it just like Cohen did. He executed his plan to perfection.
You think about what he turned down when the Nationals wanted to extend him, and he said, "Nope, I'm going to go to free agency. I'm going to bet on myself." The Yankees approached him during the season. We'd like to extend you. He said, "Nope, I'm going to free agency. I'm betting on myself." Much in the way Judge did it when his free agency came up, and he just said, "I'm betting on myself." Now, granted, when the money was tossed at Judge, he actually turned down money to stay with the Yankees. He's a homegrown guy. We kind of understood that. For Soto, the moment, Chris, he turned his hat around
Yep.
after the Yankees were eliminated from the World Series, and you no longer saw the
Yep.
NY on his cap, that should have been a red flag. And in his defense, in Soto's defense there, I don't think he should have been asked that question there. I understand why the guys in the media did it, but come on. That's a heartbreaking loss. And that's the thing you want to ask him right away. Like, could the guy have 10 minutes to relax before you throw it at him?
You know what that reminded me of? Remember years ago when LeBron was first hitting free agency and he was playing with Cleveland and they were in the NBA finals and he walked through the locker room and as he was going through he didn't even get to the locker room. He was just getting through the concourse and right before he got to the overhang, he took off the Cleveland jersey. And
Hmm.
everybody was like, he's as good as gone. And he was a homegrown talent at that point. But that is what the turning of the hat reminded me of LeBron and taking off that jersey and just being like, this is the end of my career here. Next chapter.
As a Red Sox fan, it would have been fun to have Soto hitting left-handed and just peppering that wall. That's what turned David Ortiz into Big Papi when he learned how to
Right.
use the wall. But you're thinking, where would he play in Fenway? And this isn't like years ago when the general
Right.
manager of the Red Sox, when they go, well, where are we going to play Willie McGee? We're not talking that caliber of player.
Right.
And the Red Sox obviously never got him, McGee, at that
Right.
point. But, he can't play right field in Fenway. It's the most difficult right field in baseball. So you can't put him in center. Now you're going to put
No.
him in left. And granted, Jim Rice, who was not a great defensive player by any imagination, any stretch of the imagination, turned himself into a decent left fielder in Fenway because
Right.
he took balls off that wall constantly. I don't know. Then he turns into a DH for Soto. What do you do with Devers? So for both the Yankees and the Red Sox, they're now in similar positions because they can pivot
Right.
and fill some other holes.
And both teams apparently have at least 700 million hanging around to do it because they saved all that money that they were going to throw at one player. Now you can spend it on two, three, four free agents if you want.
So let's pivot to the NFL. For Giants fans, there was a little bit of a sense of deja vu. You go back to the late 70s when a fan from Somerset County flew a plane over Giant Stadium. 15 years of lousy football. We've had enough. Fast forward to this past weekend when a Giants fan rented a plane and flew a banner that said to Mr. Merritt, "You got to fix this dumpster fire." What a mess that is.
It's an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, there is just nothing redeeming about this team right now. The offense is brutal. I mean, and then you look at the Jets and they're in similar spots, but the Jets are always like the Jets, but the Giants, you would think with the, the Phil Sims of the world and Eli Mannings, and they've had their time in the spotlight. So Giant fans got used to that winning for a while, especially during, Eli Manning and Michael Strahan years. And to see what they've become now, just a little note to the Giants brass. Right now, I think they're picking number 2 in the NFL draft. If it were to end today, little note, do not draft a North Carolina quarterback. It doesn't work out well for you.
And the other local football team, I
Uh,
think it's pretty obvious that it wasn't Sam Darnold's fault
you
and it
know,
wasn't Robert Sala's fault.
and it wasn't Geno Smith's fault.
You know what? It might not be Aaron Rodgers' fault either. It
It's
really
got
might
to
not.
start from the
The,
top down.
the problems in that organization just they're overwhelming.
You just, there are some organizations that just don't know how to lose. Kansas City Chiefs, they find ways to win.
Mhm.
Bad organizations find ways to lose. The Jets are just constant losers. They find ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory every single time. Brett Favre came here with a resume as good as anybody
Hall of
since
Fame.
Joe Namath, Hall of Famer. Couple Super Bowls to his name. Couldn't win here. Aaron Rodgers comes here, and I mean, he looks like a disaster. I mean, he brings in his guys from Green Bay, his
Right.
guys, every one of them, from Randall Cobb to Lazard to Devontae Adams. Zero. Zip. Why? Because the shade of green changed and the winning culture went right out the window. This team does not know how to win. And if Jet fans want to ask Santa for something, it's new ownership. Because I think that's the only way this franchise is ever going to get its feet off the ground and getting a winning culture is by selling the team. Because this right now, they're an absolute. You talk about dumpster fire. Dumpster fire would be a step up for this group. Oh,
Well, that's your 2 minute drill, the new and, well, we hope improved 2 minute drill with Chris Swendeman and me, Jim Monaghan. And we hope to do this every week right here on allmixedupradio.com.